Hi guys, it's Kath, and today I'm going to show you how I built this miniature vintage stove. It's a mat board kit made by Bentley House Minis. I love the style of this stove, and it was a super simple project to put together. I made some changes to the kit, but you can build it exactly according to the included instructions. It looks great either way. Let's get started. The kit comes with pretty much everything you need besides glue and paint. As you can see, it's very compact and made up of 4 laser cut mat board sheets. There are 3 large sheets and 1 small one. There is also 1 thin cardstock sheet for all the detail pieces. All of them are labeled with letters to make it super easy to assemble. The first thing I do is take sheet number 1 and cut the little tabs that are attached to the pieces. Glue the 2 letter B pieces together to double the thickness. Do the same for the 2 letter C pieces. Glue letter C upright behind letter A. Then glue letter B to the left side edge. This is the main structure for the stove. Now take sheet number 2 and cut the tabs that hold the letters D and E. Do the same for the DD pieces on sheet number 4. Stack the DD pieces on top of the letter D pieces to double the thickness. Then glue the letter E rectangles on the guidelines of the long pieces. Cut out one of the tiny letter EE strips from sheet number 3 and glue it to the remaining guideline. Then attach them together. Add this to the right side of your main structure. You can already see how the stove is shaping up. From sheet number 3, grab the DD, 2 EE, and 2 CC pieces. Then from sheet number 2, grab the letter G piece, which will be the oven front. Glue the tiny EE pieces on the guidelines of the 2 CC pieces. Then glue the CC sides to DD. The last piece is the oven front, but we won't glue it on just yet. From the same sheet, take pieces BB and AA. Glue AA on the floor of the stove where the oven will sit. It's a support structure. Then glue the oven structure to BB. Before installing it, let's paint the inside gray. It's much easier to paint it now than when it's already glued in place. You can sit it right on top of AA. You can also choose to paint the back area of the oven if you want to be super thorough. This is where the oven front piece goes, but I won't glue it on just yet. For the right side of the stove, take the letter H and letter I pieces from sheet number 2. These are the fronts for the small ovens on the right side. I won't glue these on yet either. The last big piece of the structure is letter L from sheet number 2. Glue it to the top of the vintage stove. From sheet number 2, take pieces J, K, and M. Glue J to the left side to support the hood. And then add this long rectangle piece as a shelf. We're ready to paint. I'll be airbrushing this for a flawless look. So first, I need to tape up the main oven area that we painted gray. For the paint, I'll be using these acrylic pour paints by Arteza. They're much thinner than regular acrylic paints, but still very pigmented, so they're perfect for airbrushing. I use this compact air compressor by Neo Air and this Iwata airbrush. It's so convenient to pull out and surprisingly quiet for how powerful it is. I built this makeshift paint booth from cardboard and within minutes knew I needed to make it better. Paint particles tend to flow in the air, so I added a small fan behind the booth to suck them up. It worked perfectly. Then just remove the tape and glue on the oven front. Before adding the right side front pieces on, I paint the insides of the shelves gray. Now you can glue them on. It's time for the doors. Cut out pieces T, V, W, and X from sheet number 3. You can keep these as is for an authentic look, but I'm going to add a modern touch with glass paint. I cut out a rectangle from the center of each door. Mat board is pretty easy to cut through with just an X-Acto knife. Paint these black as well. Then place a clear piece of plastic packaging behind it. Draw an outline just a bit bigger than a cutout and cut it out. To remove Sharpie ink, just wipe it with rubbing alcohol. Glue it on behind the door. Next, grab these 5 pieces for a drawer. It comes together very easily. I update the drawer front to a cutout with a glass pane to match the rest of the stove. I paint the inside of the drawer gray and slip it into the bottom opening of the stove. Then glue on the drawer front. Adding on the front after the drawer is in place ensures that it's perfectly straight. For all the other doors, this kit comes with paper hinges. Pop them out from the bottom left of the cardstock sheet. Because I added glass panes, I need to cut them a lot shorter. Glue half of it to the oven door and the other half to the inside bottom of the oven. To keep the oven door closed, the kit comes with tiny magnets. They fit perfectly into the pre-cut cutouts on the door. To hold them in place, I'm using JB Well Metal Epoxy. It's so strong once cured and perfect for metal. The kit also comes with these metal pins that attach to the top of the oven. It's what the magnet will stick to. It's so satisfying to see the door click perfectly into place. Next, let's add a light above the stove. I take the needle and stick it through the hood of the stove. Then use a skewer to widen the hole. I'll be using this battery-powered tea light candle. I remove the front part and clip off most of the excess plastic on the bottom. Stick the light bulb through the hole and glue it to the top of the structure. Then, using scrap pieces of mat board from the kit, add pieces around the top to enclose the light. Paint this black as well. I love the extra height this addition gives the whole piece. It's time for the fun details. For the handles, I'll be using toothpicks. Paint them with metallic gold acrylic paint. Then cut them down to size and glue them horizontally to the top of each door. Paint the decorative piece we popped out earlier gold as well. Add it to the outer left side. I cut a thin strip from scrap mat board and painted gold. Glued it to the bottom of the hood. Every oven needs a rack, so let's make that next. Pop out the rack pieces from the cardstock sheet. Stack them together to double the thickness. This will make 2 racks. I sprayed these silver for the look of metal. I chose to spray these because all the detail will be hard to get to with a brush. The large rack goes in a large oven on the left, and a small one in the compact oven on the right. Next up is the range. Take pieces P, Q, O, R, and S from sheet number 3. Glue Q to the right side of O. Stack the 2 P's together for thickness and then glue to the left side. This strip goes to the front for the burner knobs. While you can leave this burner as is, I chose to cut out the center circle so there will be 6 burners total. Paint the inside of it black and glue the top on. Spray the full piece black and add silver on top. The black base layer gives the silver more depth and dimension. To finish it off, pop out the burner gray shades from the cardstock sheet. Paint them black and glue them over the burner hose. Now it's ready to be installed to the main structure. I wanted a pop of brightness and a modern aesthetic, so I'm going to add a marble backsplash. I cut out a rectangle from scrap mat board and tape it to some scrap paper. Now grab the same acrylic board paints in white, black, gray, and silver. We'll use them to pour as they were intended. In a small container, pour a bit of each color in separate layers. I mostly use white and a few drops of black. Randomly add your colors. There is no wrong way to do it. Then simply pour the mixture onto your board. Shift the board around to ensure all the areas are covered. Once it's dry, you have this gorgeous shiny backsplash. Add it behind the range. Almost done, guys. For the knobs, I'll be using these 4mm half pearl beads. Paint them in the same metallic gold color and glue them on one by one. Lastly, pop out the letters Y and Z pieces for the legs. Glue 2 together to form 4 legs in total. Paint them gold and glue 1 to each of the bottom 4 corners. This small detail really elevates the whole look. I add a last piece of gold trim to the shelf to tie everything together. That's it. This miniature vintage stove is all done. I love playing around with this kit and adding a few custom touches to it. It was a lot of fun working with this traditional style, and I have a few more kits to show you. I hope you guys liked this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and make sure to subscribe for more. I'll see you next time. Bye.